Hi guys, we're going to do another little video here. I just want you to look and see this video clip. It relates to fracking up north. And I just want you to look at this and just think what you see. I'm going to mute it as well, we don't need any sound.
Well,
Just use your eyes and see what you see. There we go. Very short clip. So, there's two arguments here that I would look at. Is you have a chap who's in a wheelchair and he's going about his day as he sees fit. And obviously he's in the middle of a road. And what I saw is a man in a wheelchair trying to cross a road. A car goes by, and then very soon after him, from behind, there was another car coming. So I saw the police run up to a man in a way that they all reacted. There was a lot of them reacting at the same time. And what they're doing is trying to stop this man from getting run over. Just skip it down a bit. Let's go to about here. So this is where you first see the wheelchair man. There's a guy in the middle of the road. This guy goes to the island, car zooms past, police car moves past, and then he's going. And he's going, and he's going to get pulled back, and they put him on the road to let this big fat lorry go past. So, there's a couple of instances. So you could say, have the police assaulted him, or have the police saved him? When I first saw this video, it very much looked like they didn't show the whole clip, but from looking at a larger clip of what actually happened, it seems the police have reacted to save this man from being in the middle of the road in order to stop him from getting hit by a truck. Because the man's facing the wrong way, and the truck is coming up from behind him. Now, when I first saw the clip, it was probably from about this instance. So with that bit of editing, that's an assault. But as you can see in the background, there goes the truck. So it's not an assault. When I first saw it, I thought it was an assault. Hence, I'm doing this video. So you can see how the media, by editing is a very powerful tool, and it can totally squiff your view of what has actually happened. So, you know, I've come down to make a video about this man getting assaulted, and actually having looked at the larger footage, I can totally appreciate what the cops have done. Man in the middle of the road, fair enough. Ambulance, police car. Off he goes. Cops run out. Jesus Christ, man, what are you doing? You're in the middle of the road. There's a lorry coming. There goes the lorry. The police have saved life. So initially I thought the cops were assaulting this man, but now I'm looking at it again. I've totally changed my mind. And like I said, if you're being presented something like this, you come here, get on the floor, you're nicked. You can see how it totally changes the aspect. So in this respect, I would say that's a nothingness. I was going to say that this is an assault, but obviously having looked at it again, I've changed my mind. I've got another clip for you. Let's look at that one. This one is brilliant. I might have an advert on this, so I apologise if there is. I'll edit.
What the demonstrators are doing is chaining their hand, put it to. So sorry, why is that? Why is that? Sorry.
Can you shut the legs? Yes.
we're not here to cause damage to people, we're here to disrupt Quadrilla and their operations. I think a lot of the escalating violence is coming from the police and the security, and we've got to do our best to push back against that and say this is our legal right. to protest.
So yeah, this is it, guys. Getting on Nick there, they're getting on Nick! Hey! 2277, 2349, you've just pushed a man that's got paralysed on the floor!
So there you have it. So looking at this clip now, you can see how
This is Sky Sports Golf.
Stop, for the love of God. So you can see on that clip how it was edited in, and also the reaction of the lady. Officer 2497, or whatever it was. You just thrown a paralysed man out of a wheelchair. And thankfully, I showed the first clip without sound. I just didn't want any influence on it, and you can see what's happening without the sound. And then when you edit the clip in with the right reaction or the accusation, and the cop doing his duty to preserve life, I don't think there's anything there. I'm actually a bit disappointed with the woman saying that, Officer 24967, you just thrown a paralysed man out of a wheelchair. Yeah, you're damn right he did, because the guy was running in front of a lorry. I mean, you don't have to be a policeman to do that. Anyone should do that. In fact, why wasn't she doing it? What, was she going to record a man just get run over in the middle of the road and go, oh, look how bad Quadzilla is. Their lorries just run over a man in a wheelchair. So yeah, but anyway, that's the childish aspects of these protests. Now, what I'm more worried about, if you remember in that clip, the reporter at the beginning was simply reporting back to camera about the kind of arm tubes that they're using to concrete people into the roads, or just to basically make them an immovable object. So you've got this really heavy bit of concrete in a pipe or something like that, and you've got like a hook. You hook your arm in so that it can't be undone, and you just line the road essentially and cause a massive nuisance. Now, you see, this is the. In our land, you don't really need to do protests like this. I mean, it's great for disrupting a contract. This is a business that has a contract with in some cases, like the Forestry Commission or other things, other government entities, and they've got a legitimate legal contract to go out and explore for gas or oil, by obviously fracturing rock deep underground, releasing the gases and collecting what they can. So that's fine. Now, people obviously have pros is, it's going to be an industry, create jobs. But the pros on the con side, you've got unknown damage to the environment. Okay, so obviously there's a lot of people who are like anti-fracking, and I think that's well founded. I think the tech it's too soon to tell what the long-term consequences of blasting rock underneath your country is going to be. So anyway, they're tying themselves up. They're lying in the road. All right, if that's what makes them happy, that's what makes them happy. I don't really have a view on that either way. But if they want to do that, they want to do that. Now, you saw there was a lot of scuffles and punches and pushing and toing and throwing. People lying on the road with about 7 or 8 security people around them. And it's just obviously very interesting to see how people are reacting now, where the police are just trying to obviously maintain the peace, which is what their job is, and that would be to keep people away from people who are trying to remove these people who decided to lock their arms on what is a public carriageway. So as I admire the tactic for its ingenious and simplistic nature, it is essentially you're causing a public nuisance again, which isn't really going to amount to much other than pissing off everyone in the area, let alone the company Quadrilla. And then you got onto that lady. If you remember that lady who was speaking, she was going on about, this is our legal right to protest. We're just trying to disrupt Quadrilla's operations, which is fair enough. But I think she's going about it the wrong way, personally. I'm not particularly impressed by someone who absolutely openly admits they're just trying to disrupt Quadrilla's operations. It's like, okay, I mean, why don't you look at an actual lawful method of doing it, as opposed to like a disruptive method of just lying in roads and putting people in harm's way? Because the way that you can see the strategy they're doing, they're getting anyone who's willing to stick their arm in a metal tube and lie in a road around heavy machinery is obviously just playing playing with fire, really. Eventually someone's going to get hurt. And then what? Oh, look how bad Quadrilla is. Oh, look how bad the police are. Oh, look how bad these private security firms are. At the moment, the reason they're doing what they're doing is because they have a legal contract to do it. So the only thing that don't chuck your bodies on the road. Look at the legal, what is causing, it's very simple orders are going on here. And if you remember, the Queen, as far as I'm aware, the Queen owns all rights, property rights to the country and the land and the resources. That's the people, the land and the resources. Essentially, the kingdom is the monarchies. So that's why in the Queen's speech you get a chat every year. So I think it was 2 years ago. I don't think she said much in the most recent one, but I think at least the year before, 2016, when she actually said about fracking. It might have even been 2015. That she's like, oh yeah, we're going to go. We're all pro fracking. When the government that's in power writes the Queen's speech, and she's like pro fracking suddenly, like she likes the idea of some high powered fractal material blasting away rocks in order to generate some sort of gas. Yeah, I think that's the person you've got to convince otherwise. Say, dear Queenie, or whoever, to your Majesty, however you go to the Queen's website, you can see how you're supposed to write a letter in the more cordial fashion. But write a letter, get 10,000 signatures to it, 20,000 signatures from the local area of where these frackings are proposed, and then sign that as a petition. And don't send it to the government. Don't send it to the council. You have every right. Get a spokesperson who's not a complete and utter, someone who's competent to liaise and negotiate and represent the local community, not some outside charity worker who's obviously created Camp Resistance and producing arm concrete sleeves for people to put their arms into. Just write a nice petition, word it as concisely and as short as possible. Something really short, no more than a paragraph, ideally 3 sentences. What's the problem? What's the solution? And obviously some sort of sign off like, respectfully yours. And then sign it with all those signatures. And then you get that special delivered to Queen Elizabeth II. And that'll go to her attention. And she will answer you. Her office will answer you. And you can highlight why you believe that's not good for the local community, the land and the people are one, remember? So when you stick a big fucking tube down into earth and start blasting away rocks, that has an effect on the land, and the land is everything, okay? And you have to convince the Queen that this is a bad idea. Not just because, we don't like it. It can be that, but obviously you need to have some sort of, you're not going to convince someone, So imagine trying to convince Queen Elizabeth with some really valid points, stick it in a petition, sign it with as many local people, real-life signatures as you can from the local area, and special deliver it to the Queen's attention so that someone can witness to say that they've delivered it to her or her very next of advisor, and then she'll look at it, and maybe she'll change her view on it. Because at the end of the day, it's her that the government have to approach the Queen in order to grant that fracking's a good idea. Because this is all her, essentially in a monarchy, this is her land, this is her property. So to go down and drill and stuff, she's just had Queen's Council and advisors who, believe it or not, are probably all getting some sort of backhanded deal, or all have some sort of stake in the legal government that's in operation. Okay. Which is why I'd also say I'm laughing at people saying it's our legal right to protest. It's not your legal right. I have very few legal rights. And if I do have a legal right, I'll be very cautious to exercise any legal rights. Because to have a legal right means you're part of that legal society, i.e. the nobility, the barons, and where all that stemmed from. So the people don't need legal rights. The people have lawful rights. It's when you start intercoursing with government and latching yourself onto their rights, then they will prescribe your legal rights. Whereas I don't wish anyone to prescribe my legal rights. I have rights at law. And this is what the people need to start exercising. But first of all, I would immediately say, get a petition, bring it to the Queen's attention, and the Queen will have to act. The Queen has to answer to the people. Good luck.